At my friend Jens's house in Swanson in West Auckland. It's a beautiful home, what he's created here. And he's given me the opportunity to come and work in his house and make videos and edit videos and work and do life admin work while I'm traveling around Auckland City. And I wanted to do a video about the nature of what I've experienced with electricity and some of my thoughts around electricity, and also the introduction of the levels of technology we have today in regards to communication, that being 5G, bringing that in as well. Because I've had a bunch of experiences over the years that have kind of, I guess for me, solidified the information around what Stuart Wilde brought into my awareness probably 10 years ago. He wrote 10, 12, 15 years ago, I wrote a blog about the nature of electricity and how the ghouls, he called the ghouls, the lower astral levels of creation of reality, how the ghouls travel along electricity into our properties, into our, and this has been manufactured on purpose, how the ghouls from the lower astral into our lower astral world travel along electricity, and they travel not in the natural form of electricity, but in the man-made electricity, and how the way that we use electricity today, the way that we wire our houses, the way that we use electricity, allows these ghouls to move through from the lower astral into our properties, into our houses, into our world. It's like a doorway, a portal into our reality, and how these ghouls travel along this energy and through our electricity, through our wiring systems, through our houses, through our power lines, through everything to do with the electrical matrix we have in regards to the technological advancements with electricity. And the question then becomes for some people, was that manufactured or was that just by accident? I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. And my experiences with electricity, and also my experiences with lower astral entities coming to me and actually attempting to attach themselves to me, right? And I've had experiences all my life where I've had various levels of possession, attachment, and attachments, right? I can tell you from first-hand experience, empirical evidence, that this is a phenomenon that's for real. It's not a psychosis, it's a real phenomenon, right? I think I've told many stories about my experiences with attachments and with possession, right? I wrote a book, I've written 13 books, and if it wasn't for my possession experience I had in Dunedin in the early 90s, if it wasn't for that experience, maybe I wouldn't have had the ability to actually write the way I have, due to the nature of my channels being open for the information that came through me to write those books in the first place. I don't know if that was the case or not, but all my books are available for you to purchase and read. But all the really dark stuff, all the really horror macabre, dark fantasy, dark sexual fantasy books that I've written, and all the overtones that move through my plot lines and my novels as well, the very dark stuff, that's me tapping into a part of my own psyche that looks to bring out the residue of the possession experience when I was possessed, to bring out that psychic residue, because I've tapped into that world due to the nature of my possession, into that lower astral world, and I've seen and experienced and been attached and been with entities from that realm all throughout my life. Not so much anymore because I resonate more on my heart vortex, but I still have visitations. I had one last night where I was camped out at a place in Point Chevalier in a freedom camping spot. So I'm going to relate that story first of all, and I'm going to bring it into a storyline, but I'm also going to explain the people that have helped me to understand the nature of this phenomenon, right? Including Gigi Young, who also did a brilliant presentation on the nature of electricity and how these lower astral entities use electricity to come into our realm. I would just suggest you go and look at Gigi Young's work, gigiyoung.com, or look on the YouTube and look at her YouTube channel and see about the nature of what she perceives through her psychic awareness, her mystical awareness, and her mystery school knowledge about the use of electricity and how these beings move through electricity, right? But Stuart Wilde brought it to my attention, and I thought that was pretty far out to even conceive of lower astral entities coming through electricity. But it makes perfect fucking sense when you have the experiences. The experience I had last night was I was sleeping in this location in Point Chevalier, in this freedom camping spot. And when I was camped there, all around me are 5G towers, like literally all around me. Now, I wouldn't have camped there if I hadn't seen Veda Austin talk in Warkworth about a month ago, where she said that this is how water, which is what our bodies are, this is how water has been able to, in the last 5 years, adjust to the frequencies of 5G. Now, initially, with the initial 5G introduction, water was distorted completely. But over the years, water, which is in our bodies, of course, has been able to adapt and adjust to the 5G frequency and turn that frequency into a beautiful crystal structure within our bodies. So I felt comfortable staying in this location beneath there was several 5G towers and cell towers all around me. I felt comfortable staying there because I thought, well, my body can handle it. My body can handle the actual experience of being there under these towers without being fucked up by the 5G EMF radiation too badly. It's just one night, right? I had problems going to sleep last night. It was quite hard. I was quite wired. When I woke up at 2 a.m. in the morning, I was literally fucking charged, which is when my liver's processing and doing its job. And in regards to the liver meridian time slots on the clock, your liver's basically regenerating itself between 1 and 3. And I was obviously wide awake. My liver was working overtime. I went back to sleep eventually. When I went back to sleep, I woke up and I woke up with the experience of something moving across my duvet and beginning to pressure and beginning to push over. And I could feel the pressure, energetic and physical, of this entity moving over like a snake would be devouring its meal. It was moving over my duvet and my body. I could feel it energetically, and I could feel it's pushing down over my body. I stopped it right away, because you can command these things to stop if you choose to. If you have an experience where you're having a attachment, or you're totally sensitive enough to understand this, you have the power, through the power of word and sound, to stop any form of intrusion or boundary crossing with anything that's non-physical and physical to an extent, right? Of course, humans have the ability to act violently towards people. Even when you say no, stop, there's a chance that a man or a woman, might still come at you, right, and be violent towards you, because they'll cross your boundaries, because they're more in the physical. But my experience with the non-physical, once you say stop, these entities will stop. They have to. They can't move any further. This is just my experience. So I called it, stopped it, and I cleared the energy in the space. And then it clicked. Oh shit. Whatever it was that had come into my van last night had come through the 5G network. This is just my supposition. This is my theory. This is my feeling. And the more I feel into it, the more I understand that this is what happened to me last night. This entity came through the 5G network and came through the cell towers. Because to me, it feels like this electricity, this form of technological communication, is like a massive portal. And it correlates with these. They came in 2021, 2022, 2020. It correlates with that. There's a correlation there. And I've had this feeling for a long time. I'm not the only one saying this. There's a correlation between that technology going into the human body as an antennae, much like the antennae was that were over my van last night. And that's gives these entities, these lower astral entities, what would you say, in the darkness, a beacon, boop, 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 for them to see if they can come into our frequency band through the use of the technology. And then therefore they can come into our reality, and the boop, 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 the beacons that are in the body as this self-assembling tech begins to take hold of the body and change the body, allows these entities a beacon to be able to see where to come to. I did a video a while ago on a TV series called Dominion, about the nature of a war in heaven, where the angels come to earth and possess people. And the people that are possessed with lower angels are called 8 balls. And they have black eyes. 8 balls is in regards to the game of pool or snooker, right? The black ball's 8. So the 8 ball is black. Dyslexia. So, and their eyes go black because the lower angels possess their bodies, well, the people, right? But these lower angels aren't angels, they're beasts. They're lower angels in regards to astral. They're beasts, horrendous beasts. So for me, that's what this is all about. For me, this is my feeling was, this is what we were giving the revelation of the method, which is basically showing us what's going to happen. And then for me, I've seen people in my life that have had these, these things, these, I can't say the word, you know what I mean though, right? This experimental gene therapy in 2020, 2021, 2022 and beyond with boosters as well. I think that the formulation and the creation of the tech inside these procedures is a beacon. Is creating a beacon technologically for these lower astral entities to come down and to use the technology of the cell towers, the 5G cell towers, and the electricity in our houses, the dirty electricity especially that isn't grounded into the earth, right? For these entities to come down and to come into our dimension, our frequency band, right? And last night, what I experienced when I told this thing to stop, I knew there and then, for me anyway, I knew there and then that I stopped this thing from coming into my van and I could go back to sleep again right away. Now, I had an experience in 2020 where I did a CE5 vectoring up in Wrights Hill and Karori in Wellington. And I had an entity come from the Cassiopeia star system, or constellation, it's a constellation, Cassiopeia's constellation, come down and have an interaction with me. And the experience I had last night was very different to that one, even though the experience was similar in the sense that this entity that came in from Cassiopeia into my space, into my frequency band, and had this interaction with me, was more loving, was more gentle and nurturing when it came over my body. This thing last night that came over my body, when it came over my body in my bed and over my duvet and pressed down on my duvet and slowly slunk up my body, this thing felt neutral at first, but menacing. Neutral, but becoming menacing. And I was like, fuck that. I stopped it right away. And my feeling is, as what Stuart Wilde said, and Gigi Young's information as well, is that these entities come through the electricity, come through the technology. And that's one of the major reasons why this is being built. All this infrastructure is being built all around the world. Because as we enter into the, not too far away now, a couple of days away, the end of the ascending Kali Yuga cycle, there's a technological basis for this parasite class and these beings that have possessed them. And I think a lot of these people that we see in public figures aren't even human anymore. They're just replicants. They're doubles or replicants, or they're a form of synthetic biology. They're not even human. The real man or woman that we once knew and saw on public spheres of influence are dead, long since dead. But they've replaced them with these replicants that, like you have in Blade Runner, like a cyborg almost, you know, a cyborg and android. As Edgar Casey called them, the things, right? So these things are roaming around, but they are also able to be possessed. And in my books that I've written, including the last one I've started writing in 2019, which is called Rigmarole by Dick Swab, I make this quite clear because the information's all there for us to look at. Steiner did a brilliant expose on this work for anthroposophy, but the nature of the world that we were entering into in regards to the 21st century and the technological matrix of Aruman coming through this technology, right? I can't, dark journalist Daniel Linst, on YouTube, look at all his work, absolutely stunning and amazing around that concept as well, and that idea around the nature of Aruman coming through. He does a really good expose on Steiner's work on that. Brilliant. But I can see it and feel it because it has to come in now. It's coming in now at the end of the transition age, the age of transition, Ikipyrosis, which is 1200 years according to the Greeks, a transition through fire of 1200 years before we enter into the Bronze Age and the Greek ages of man, and the Kali Yuga cycle, in the Yuga cycles, it's the Dwapara cycle, right? And they are looking, the parasite class and the forces that control the parasite class are looking for a way and a means to remain in control, but also harvest consciousness in some way, to take that consciousness and my perception into the eighth sphere. And the eighth sphere is like a technological metaverse world, so close to our own, our frequency band, but taking that consciousness across into the eighth sphere rather than actually letting it go back into the life stream when the technological computer no longer works and the consciousness leaves the body and goes back to the source energy and has the sojourns through the planetary spheres, as Edgar Casey and all the mystics and the mystery schools say, right? which is what we do when we leave our bodies. We go through the mystery school, we go through the sojourns through the planets before we come back around and then reincarnate into this life stream if we choose to, right? But they want to take us off that track, that life stream track, by creating this loosh into the eighth sphere technologically, and with the use of the technological communications network that we have today, which I think and has been brought in place since the 1840s with the telegraph. And I can see how that affects, and if you read Arthur Furstenberg's book, I know I'm going off the deep end here, but Arthur Furstenberg's book, The Invisible Rainbow, you can see how the bringing in of that technological matrix has affected the human biology, its nervous system, our endocrine system, our hormonal systems, our immune systems. You can see how that's affected us. And that's done, I think, in my perception, on purpose by the right-hand path. Was it the left-hand path? The left-hand's mystery schools have brought this in order to bring in their masters, their unseen frequency, lower astral masters into this realm through this technological matrix. The left-hand mystery schools, I think it's the dark path, I'm pretty sure it's the left-hand mystery schools, have been bringing this technology in order for these entities and these lower astral entities and these lower astral forces to come in, their masters who they work with in the non-physical and the unseen realms, into this realm to create the technological loosh, take consciousness away from the life stream, which goes this way, branches it off into transhumanism, branches it off into the eighth sphere, and that loosh, that consciousness harvest is happening. So my experience last night only reaffirmed for me the fact that sleeping under 5G towers in my van is a fucking stupid idea. I need to remain in nature, away from that kind of technology. So from now on, I'll be looking to sleep in places. Of course, when I tune into the energies and the elemental forces of the areas that I'm in, and I ask them for their permission to be able to stay there, I feel protected. That's one thing you can do as well. If you're in a situation, in my experience, where you're in a place where you're technologically surrounded by all this, like if you're in a city in the middle of Dubai or in the middle of Thailand, if you're on Khao San Road, if you're somewhere where there's unbelievable amount of technological equipment all around you, and you're not in nature, there's some way to protect yourself by calling in the elemental forces, the spirits, devas and deities of the land itself, for their permission for you to stay where you are, and for actually to ask them to protect you while you sleep. Maybe, just maybe, that might help to push away those entities, those forces that might look to possess you or to loosh off you while you're sleeping. And I think a lot of the time our dreams that we have can be a form of looshing by these entities that attach themselves to us while we're sleeping under technological matrices. I'm just saying. I don't know, but maybe that might be a point. And at some future date, I might talk about that. But for now, thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Mā te ua. I'll see you again soon.